Well, hello again, it's Trudy here from HotPatterns, and this time we are not coming to you with a tutorial. Oh no, this time we are coming to you with our very first sew-along. And a sew-along is slightly different from a tutorial in that it takes you right the way through from opening the pattern envelope to putting it on and going ta-da! So we're going to be doing a sew-along for you. This is the first part. This is about preparing your pattern and preparing your fabric, and obviously if you want to keep up with the sew-along, we'll be putting it out in 4 parts, but all the details will be in the little information box below this video. So go and click on there. There's a Pinterest board and there's a Facebook sewing group and there's lots of ways to connect with the sew-along. So yeah, even if you come to it a little bit late when the sew-along's done, you can still follow it step by step. So we have chosen for our very first sew-along a relatively simple piece, simple-ish but interesting enough to kind of have a few details, and it's this one. It is the Fast and Fabulous Blouse-Back tee, and we're going to have a proper look at the envelope shortly and have a look at the technical details, but I'll quickly tell you that the Blouse-Back tee is exactly as the name suggests. It's a t-shirt with a kind of blouse-back feature. And you can make it obviously all in knits, all in t-shirt fabric. You can make the back in a more floaty, drapey blouse fabric. And I have seen these mixed media tops, also referred to as Franken t-shirts, which I kind of love. I think that's kind of fabulous. So our Franken t-shirt is this one, it's the Blouse-Back tee. So here's what we're doing. This part of our sew-along is, as I said, preparing the pattern, preparing the fabric. So we're going to go through all that. If you are a more experienced sewer, maybe this isn't so relevant to you, maybe it is, I don't know. If you're a new sewer or someone who's just coming back to sewing after a while, or you're maybe not too confident about using knits, this is going to be really useful for you. So let us start by looking at the pattern envelope. So here's our envelope front, and it has really 3 pieces of interest for you. One is the fashion sketch here. Very pretty, very lovely, kind of gives you a nice idea of what kind of prints you could use and, you know, a kind of idea of how it's going to look on the body. The second thing is the written description, which will explain everything to you. But the third thing is, and actually the most important for you, are these. Those are the technicals or the flats. And let's go in and have a little closer look at these, because I think it's really worth us going through them quite thoroughly, shall we say. Now, the technical flats are what you look at when you're really looking at what your garment's going to be, how it's going to go together. Your technical flats on this one will tell you that you have got a deep stitched hem at the front, a narrow stitched hem at the back, gathers onto the back yoke, a neckband, sleeve hemband. So quite useful, gives you really the nuts and bolts, the details. So before you kind of dive into choosing your fabric or anything like that, have a good look at your technicals, because that's really going to help you out. Well, once we've cleverly looked at the front of the envelope, we then need to flip it over so we can see the reverse. The reverse has got 2 very important pieces of information for you. This is our measurement chart. Obviously it'll tell you which size of pattern to choose, and you can also find this on our website to download and keep. And at the top of it here, you will find the fabric requirements, fabric and notions I should say. For this one, there really is just fabric, there's nothing else, there's no zippers, no buttons, no nothing. Just fabric. So this is kind of your shopping list, and if you look on our on the page for this pattern anyway, you will find the shopping list there as well. Tells you how much fabric you need, so that's what you need to get. So before we dive in and rip open our pattern envelope and get stuck into our actual Blouse-Back tee, we need to decide what size we're going to use. Now we have a large size range, sizes 6 to 26, and the one smack in the middle is the size 16, and that's what we base all our patterns on. So we make them smaller for the smaller sizes, bigger for the bigger sizes, so we work to a 16, and this is kind of dialed up to our 16, so we're going to use this. Now all you need to do for this one, you really don't need to have kind of like a precision fit. It's not a tailored garment, it's not like a corseted ball gown. It's a nice, simple, semi-relaxed t-shirt. So we really just need to go, I would say, on this one, probably by your bust size, unless you're very hippie, in which case, go by your hip size. I mean, as a rough rule of thumb for t-shirts, the biggest part of you, that's what you need to go by. So we'll have a look. So out of my magic little pot with the elephants on top, we've got a tape measure. And you just want to really Like I say, not too precise, but you know, precise enough. So you want your bust measurement, your waist measurement, and your hip. If you wonder where your hip is, it's 8 inches down from your waist, like that. I'm not sure what that is in centimetres. What is it? Oh yes, 20 centimetres down. Okay, so that's your hip measurement. So you choose the one that's nearest to that. And bear in mind that really our sizing, the ones that you'll find on here, they're very similar to ready to wear. So companies like Banana Republic and Gap and Ann Taylor and stuff, they're very similar to this. So you can really go by your kind of ready to wear size to start with. Okay, so once you've decided on your size, you're going to have to get the pattern out. Here comes the fun bit. I tend to use a knife, just because I can really. You may want to open the flap, or you may want to use scissors, or whatever you like. You choose, it's your pattern. Okay, let me just get rid of this so we've got plenty of room, because I want to show you what the pattern looks like when it comes out of the envelope. If you are, of course, a new to HotPatterns sewer, you may be expecting one of those, the normal tissue paper patterns in that kind of brown, crinkly tissue paper. You're not going to get it from us, I'm afraid. We use a heavier white paper. It's £20 bond, whatever that means, but it is, which means that it's nice and heavy and nice and sturdy, and it will last a long time. So even if you pin into it and you chop round it and you draw around it, it's going to last you. Okay, so here is our pattern, and you can see it is one very large sheet. It's got all the pattern pieces on it, obviously. Some of our patterns have more than one sheet, but this one, just the one sheet. And you've got here a box. I'm hoping you can see that. And it tells you what style it is. It's the HP 1170 Fast and Fabulous Blouse-Back Tee. And then it says quite clearly, cut these instructions out and keep them. That's what you're going to do. Oh yes, you are. So just a little something about our instructions. They are normally, we generate them on letter-sized paper, 8.5 inches across by 11 down, which means that you'll get a block of either 1 page, 2 page, 3 page, 4 page instructions, however big they are. So when you cut these out, you can cut them in half and put them in a binder, or you can just fold them in half and put them in your envelope, whatever you want to do. But it's very important that you cut out your instructions and keep them. You will need them because they tell you how to do it. Okay, so I've taken my pattern out and I've decided to cut my size, and the size I'm going to cut for this is a 16 because it's right in the middle of our size set. So to make my life just a little bit easier, and we are all about making lives easier, I'm going to mark on my pattern which size I'm using. I'm using quite a fat pen on this one. I wouldn't normally use quite such a fat one, but I really want you to see what I'm doing. Put the notches in and everything. And that's the line I'm going to cut along. Yeah, it's a bit wiggly, I know, but you get my drift. That's the one I'm going to cut along there. Obviously I'd use a ruler if I had half a brain, but I don't. So yeah, I'm going to cut it out along the line I've marked, the size line I've marked, and then I'm going to kind of be ready really for cutting up my fabric, or am I? No, I'm not. Got to prepare my fabric as well. I'm going to discuss that with you in 1 minute. Okay, so I'm now going to show you my cut out bits of pattern. I know it's not very exciting, but you have to start with these things. First of all, here are our trusty instructions. Don't forget, you need to keep these. These are going to be what's going to help you through the whole thing, as well as our sew-along, of course. We've got all the patterns. We've got the sleeve pattern. We have got the yoke pattern, and you can see this is cut, it says on the fold. When we come to the cutting, I'm going to show you how to do this in a striped fabric, because there's a little trick and a technique to striped fabric. Not difficult at all, but it's good for you to be shown it and be aware of it. So if you're a newbie sewer, you might be wondering why we've only got half the pattern shape when we've got a whole one of the sleeve. Good question. This is the usual way to do bigger pattern pieces, because you lay them on the fold and you just cut once and you get a whole piece. Also, it means that we don't have to make massive pieces, pattern pieces, because they're kind of tricky to deal with. So we've got our back yoke, we've got our neckband cut in one piece, and we have our sleeve bands, and you'll cut a pair of these. That means you'll cut 2 that match, that kind of twin like that. Not that are sisters, but that are twins. Oh yes. We've got our front, which is a very a very classic t-shirt front piece, nothing really remarkable about that as such, apart from this hem notch down here. Don't forget that, it's kind of key. And that's cut on fold as well. And then we have our back. This is our blouse back area. Don't forget that notch, that's really important to mark in when you're cutting out. And that of course is cut on the fold as well. So now we've got all our pattern pieces ready to rumble. We need to lay it out on our fabric, but before we do, we need to prepare our fabric. Now, because we are making a blouse back t-shirt, we are going to do the blouse back part of it in a contrast fabric. You can, as I said earlier, use an actual blouse fabric, something very lightweight, something very kind of drapey, and you can do the back in that. In fact, one of my test pieces I did that, and I'll show you in the next part before we cut out, that you can do the back in a woven. But for this one I'm choosing a t-shirting. This is a very, I'm not sure if you can see through it, it's a very, very lightweight, kind of slubby rayon knit. This I believe is from Girl Charlie Fabrics. I'll put the link in the information underneath. And this is going to be, as I said, for the blouse back. Excuse me. For the real deal, main part of the t-shirt, I'm using this. This is a rayon lycra black and white stripe. Yes, I have a slight stripe addiction. There's nothing wrong with that. So yes, I have 5 yards here, not the yard I need. And this is from Funkalicious Fabrics, and I'll put their link in the comments underneath as well. Now, the kind of fabrics you need for the neckline area. Okay, that means the front, the back yoke, and the neckband. You need something that stretches. It doesn't have to stretch massively, but it needs to have some stretch. And this doesn't really have enough body to do what you want it to do. See when I fold it in half, then I stretch it, and it's got plenty of bounce to it, it's got plenty of stretch, but you're not really going to get a nice crisp kind of neckband on that. It's going to kind of sog a little bit, it can't help itself. In order to get it to be crisp, you have to stretch it so far, it would just distort and be horrible. So we accept that for the front and the back yoke and the neckband, you're going to have to use something that's quite sturdy. That's perfectly okay. You can get this kind of rayon lycra mix, or anything similar to it, as long as it's got lycra in it, or they might call it elastane or whatever. You should be good. And this one's very stretchy, very, very stretchy, four-way stretch. Not that I need it, but I like this particular quality of fabric a lot. And so you must have stretch for this part. You would like stretch for this part, for the sleeve bands, but it's not essential. You don't really need stretch for the sleeves, not really, because, like I say, it's not really fitted, but it will be nice, it'll flow better. But it boils down to, it's really down to you. I mean, you can chop and change this as you want to. If you want to do it all in one fabric, go ahead. If you want to do just the blouse back in contrast, go ahead. If you find a nice knit that's got enough oomph to it and it's got enough lycra and stretch for it for the neckband, use that for the neckband and the sleeve band and the back, whatever you want. You can mix and match this as you like, but the important thing to bear in mind with this is the main fabric, you've got to have some lycra in it. Now, before you start cutting out your piece, you must prepare your fabric, and you prepare it by pre-washing it. Yes, you do. I always say you need to pre-treat your fabric using the method you're going to use to clean the garment. So if you're going to dry clean a jacket, for instance, you go and get the fabric dry cleaned first before you even think of cutting into it, because it may well react, it may shrink, it may bag, it may distort, you don't know. So same with this. This has gone in the laundry and I've washed it a couple of times and dried it on hot. So I know, even if I'm in a frantic rush doing laundry and I shove it in the laundry and I just do it, it's not going to ruin it at all, it's going to be fine. So this is all ready to be cut. When you come back next time for part 2, I will show you how to lay it out, how to cut stripes, how to lay all the pieces out, and what you should be watching for those. And we'll also prepare the neckband, the sleeve band, what else we prepare? Oh, and the blouse back itself. We're going to prepare all of those next time, as well as doing the cutting out. So this has been the first part of our sew along. Very simple, easy for you to understand, but do feel free to put your comments and questions in our Facebook sewing group. Again, information down there, and in a week's time we'll have part 2.